Welcome to Whispering Loudly, the award-winning Workshop Whisperer podcast, as featured by Apple, with Rachael Evans, the #1 automotive business coach in the aftermarket. Thanks to Platinum sponsor Podium and Titanium sponsor Mechanic Desk.
Whispering Loudly is the Workshop Whisperer podcast. Welcome to the show. I'm producer Mel and joined by Rachael Evans today. And we've got Katie Stepanek with us today from GenTech Automotive in Canberra. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me. It's really exciting.
Hi, Katie. Very excited to have you here. You are one of our long-serving engine room members, along with your wonderful husband, Marcus. So it's always exciting to have an engine roomer on when we can share with all of you out there how the business has transformed and what little nuggets of gold we might be able to share with you about that. So, Katie, would you like to tell everyone out there a bit of the story of GenTech?
Yeah, absolutely. We are in our 21st year.
Amazing.
We're based in Canberra, and Marcus actually started GenTech out on his own same year that we started dating. Seems a lifetime ago.
Wow.
He originally started the workshop as a general service and engine building, and over the last 21 years, we're now a performance workshop and service centre with a team of 7 specialists, which is, a long way from Marcus and one apprentice.
Definitely. Wow. So, Katie, you yourself haven't always been in the business. What were you doing before stepping into GenTech full-time?
Yeah, no, not at all. Actually, when Marcus and I first met, I was a legal secretary, and I worked within that firm for a long time and became an event manager. And after welcoming our family some years later, I actually returned to work for Prime Minister in Cabinet. So a long way removed from the workshop and all that was going on there.
That sounds like it could be fairly exciting working for Prime Minister in Cabinet. Was that the case?
Oh, some days.
Especially when the Prime Minister and the Cabinet changed regularly? Yeah.
Regularly. I was there during that time, and that is always a very interesting time to work in government in Canberra. Absolutely.
Okay, so you found yourself working full-time with Marcus. What was the transition like going, from your own career into the business?
Definitely a struggle. I think when Marcus initially reached out to you and we attended our first engine room retreat, the decision was made that I would become more involved in the workshop. And we really had to look at where we wanted the business to go and how we were going to get there. And that meant sitting down, looking at those goals and looking at our strengths and seeing what needed to be done and which of us was the best person to do what role. And there's a lot of times, there were things that I wanted to do or Marcus wanted to do, but we really had to go, you know what, I'm not the best person to be doing this. And it was finding this flow and it took time to really work out what was the best way for us to move forward together and stay married.
Yes. Not always easy, as we know.
Exactly. And it was really, really hard, and we really did have to do that work on who we were and what we could best bring.
And I know that, we obviously work with lots of husband and wife teams. And, your situation, you coming from another career to come into the business, quite common. I know that, even when I stopped the career that I was in to go into the workshop with my then husband, there's very much this feeling of it's the husband's business initially. Did you feel like that?
Yes, definitely. I definitely came in as an employee. I wasn't a business owner. It was very much Marcus's world, and I was stepping into it. And there was a big part, and I think Marcus would agree with me, in him realising that in order for it to work, he needed to step back a little bit and to give it the space for, my position to evolve. And it was hard for all of us because I came in very much knowing who I was in my career, and I had an idea of where I wanted the business to go and what I could do in the business, but it wasn't necessarily Marcus's idea.
Yeah.
So, we really had to find that common ground.
And that takes time, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
And possibly still working on it.
Yeah, it's advanced, perfected over time, I'm sure. But you have to be open and you have to talk about it, and you really have to say, look, this isn't working or this is working, and that communication is just vital.
Yeah. And I think, we help as many of the wives own their role inside the business as we do help wives who came in to help but now realise that they would like to go and pursue their career again. So, we help set the business up systems-wise so that they can step out and somebody else can step in. So it is really important that the working partnership is on the same page, and that if somebody isn't happy, that, we find an effective solution for that so that the marriage stays intact, because that's always got to come first.
Yeah. And I think it's too easy to let the business become everything.
Yeah.
It can really overtake all that you're doing and all that you're working on. And there's also the dynamic of a husband and wife. When you see the other person struggling, you want to help, but that's not always the best way in business. We can't be catching one another all the time.
Yeah, rescuing.
Yeah. Exactly.
Join our free Facebook group, Your Profitable Auto Repair Shop, and join in on the conversation with auto repair shop owners just like you globally.
So what are some of the greatest things about being an owner of this business?
Definitely the flexibility. We have, since working with you, been able to create, the business doesn't run us, we run the business, and the flexibility for our family, and for me especially, that, if my kids aren't right, I'm not right, and I'm sure every mum listening would agree. But for my work day doesn't start until I've dropped my kids at school. That's, 10, 15 minutes in the car for me in the morning, but it's really important that I have that time. I pick them up in the afternoon, and, my work day is set in those hours that they're not here with us and they're off doing their own thing. And it took time to get there, but that flexibility it's what makes it worthwhile. And we've recently, as you know, we've gone on to a 4-day work week. So the business now trades Tuesday through Friday over extended hours, and it's provided us with a long weekend every weekend. And that time, it's just guilt-free.
Yeah.
It's our time. And, Tuesday through Friday, they're structured, and everything we do is very, this is our routine. But it's given us that time to breathe and focus and just do what we want to do.
Yep. And prior to the Workshop Whisperer and your 4-day work week, that structure was obviously missing.
Oh, gosh, yes. So much so. Yeah, Marcus was gone early in the morning, home late at night, 6-7 days a week. There wasn't that family time. There wasn't that quality time. I was racing to do what I needed to do, what I wanted to do, and then trying to fit everything else in between. And we were both sort of what I touched on before. We were very much, the business was running us and our life, and we weren't, we weren't running the business. We weren't taking charge. We were just doing what we felt needed to be done at the moment. And it's not a lifestyle, and it's exhausting.
What have been some of the most difficult things then about owning the business? We've just touched on what structure used to look like, or lack of it.
Lack of it, yeah. Absolutely. Definitely finding that structure. Looking at the business and knowing, and I'm so, even 5 years on now working with you, I'm so pleased Marcus reached out to you. I think the greatest thing we ever did was ask for help. And in asking for that help, then you have to commit to what you're learning. And that's probably the next big challenge. You can be provided with all the most wonderful advice in the world to help you, but if you don't follow it, nothing's going to change. So I think being open to learning putting our hand up and saying, yes, we need help, being open to taking that help and following the processes. And it's not always easy, and it doesn't always feel, comfortable to be doing those things, but being able to face those challenges and do it together it's definitely been of a huge benefit.
Take a smoko and review us on your Apple Podcast app or wherever you listen.
So for our Whispering Loudly fans out there, what is the number one piece of advice you would give to them when it comes to growing their auto repair business with their significant other?
Communication, again, 100% in everything. But what Marcus and I have found is we set time in the diary for us to come together and plan and work together. And that time is crucial. We have no phones. the team know that they can't contact us. We do that while the kids are at school. That time is crucial. You need to have that and make it a priority. You really have to make that time and that planning a priority and make sure that everyone's on board with that. Our kids know our goals and our plans, and our team knows our goals and our plans. And so when we come together and have that time, when we say we're making this time, everyone's on board. And that's so vital in moving forward and doing what it is we want to do. Everyone needs to know we're heading in this direction.
And even just, being on here, having this chat with me, I know is going to help so many of our listeners who are the wife in the partnership, because sometimes it's just really nice to hear that there are other people out there like you and, have gone through the same things, and you and Marcus have managed to, improve communication to such a point that you're on the same page and you're working towards the same goals. You've been able to get that great structure in place, and I've been there with you. It hasn't been easy getting to that point, but the whole thing is that if it was easy, everyone would be doing it and there would be no need for somebody like me. So credit to you guys for having stood the test of time and putting the hard work in to get it done. So congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you for standing with us. I think that, such a huge part of our success is surrounding ourselves with the right people and finding yourself and Dean and the engine room family has been such a huge part of that success. I can't imagine where we would be without all of you, really.
We love having you, so thank you. Okay, Katie, thank you so much for sharing a bit of your journey with us, and we look forward to having you and Marcus back on the program in the near future. And if you would like one of your questions answered on one of our upcoming Workshop Whispers episodes, then please email us your question to admin@workshopwhisperer.com. Thank you for listening, and we'll catch you next week.
Thanks for listening to Whispering Loudly, the award-winning Workshop Whisperer podcast, as featured by Apple with Rachael Evans, the #1 automotive business coach in the aftermarket. Thanks to Platinum sponsor Podium and Titanium sponsor Mechanic Desk.